Welcome to Hope Honey and Home. Today I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious carrot cake. If you've made carrot cake before, I bet you've never made one quite like this. This is good with all-purpose flour or gluten-free. In fact, it's so good gluten-free that you can serve it to your gluten and gluten-free friends and they will all love it. The secret to making really good gluten-free desserts is to use things that are naturally moist. So this dessert has crushed pineapple, pumpkin, and carrots, so it's really, really good. To get started, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Then get two pans. I'm using 8-inch rounds today. I went ahead and cut out parchment paper by tracing the bottom of my pan with a pencil, cutting that out, and then I'll grease these with coconut oil before I pour in my batter. I'm going to be making this recipe gluten-free today, but if you're going to be making it with all-purpose flour, just go ahead and follow all of these directions exactly. You just don't need to add any xanthan gum. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice to 3/4 of a cup of almond milk. And go ahead and set that aside. Then we're going to go ahead and add our dry ingredients to a small bowl. I have 2 cups of gluten-free flour. This is just a homemade mix that I use, but you could add cup for cup or Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour. Any of those would be fine. 2 teaspoons of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. A teaspoon of xanthan gum if you're eating gluten-free. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stir. For this next step, I'm going to use my stand mixer. You can just use a handheld mixer as well though. I'm going to start off by adding 3 eggs. One and 1/4 cups of pumpkin puree, and I really like the Libby's brand. I feel like it does make a difference in the flavor. I'm going to go ahead and add 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of olive oil. I'm going to go ahead and give that a stir. Now we're going to go ahead and add 8 ounces of crushed pineapple. This is from a can and I did drain off the extra juice. We're going to add a cup of grated carrots. And our milk and lemon juice mixture. We'll go ahead and give that a stir. I'm going to gradually add my flour mixture to the mixer while it's running and let it mix until combined. Okay, now that this is well mixed, I'm going to go ahead and remove the bowl from the stand mixer. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 1 cup of chopped walnuts and 1 cup of coconut. And this I stir in by hand. Now it's ready to pour into our pans. If you've never heard of cake strips before and you bake fairly frequently, you're going to want to get some of these for yourself. There's these little strips of fabric that you wrap around your cake and they help the cake to not get as much of a dome on it so it's nice and flat. And we always use them when we're doing a layer cake so you have nice flat layers to stack one on top of the other. These cakes will take 35 minutes at 350 degrees if using all-purpose flour, or 45 to 50 minutes for a gluten-free cake. Gluten-free baked goods always take longer. I baked these gluten-free 8-inch cakes for 50 minutes. Your cake is fully done when a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean, and when you make a depression with your finger, the depression bounces back most of the way. Leave the cakes in their pans to cool for 15 minutes. To remove the cakes, one at a time, place cooling racks on top of the cake, then flip the cake and the cooling rack together. Because of the parchment paper, the cake should come out smoothly. Allow the cake to cool to room temperature and then place in the freezer for about 15 minutes. I put both cakes on the same cooling rack to fit them into my freezer more easily. For a beautiful, crumb-free frosting, start with a crumb coat. A crumb coat is a thin layer of frosting that will trap the crumbs and be hidden underneath the final coat of frosting. So frost your cake with a thin layer and return to the freezer for about 10 minutes. For the final coat of frosting, I used a thicker cream cheese frosting as I felt my crumb coat frosting was too thin. For cream cheese frosting, I like to do a textured frosting as it's easier to achieve. When using buttercream, I'll frost the cake to a smooth finish. Top with some chopped walnuts and some shredded carrot. Time to cut a slice. Hope you give this a try, and thanks for watching.